I went out for the rugby team in college, and that's when I got injured. What happened was, for those of you that have seen rugby before, the two scrums got together, 8 people in each scrum. They come together. My job was the hook. I was the hooker in the middle, probably because I had big feet. I was pretty strong. And I hooked the ball back to my teammate on a very sloppy, rainy sort of day. And it was November 22nd, 1980. And so the scrum collapsed. And when it collapsed, I went down and hit my head forward. And then about 10 people rolled on top of me, and I injured my neck. And I didn't know what was going on. I was 18 years old, and basically I was yelling. I was totally conscious. I knew something was wrong, terribly wrong, but I didn't know what. And so I didn't hear a crack or a break or anything like that. But what happened was my spinal cord got pinched between 5 and 6, C5 and 6, and I couldn't get up. And they called for an ambulance. It just so happened we were on the campus at UC Davis. Oh, and we were playing our alumni, who were much bigger and much stronger, and it was a 10 a.m. game, and most of them were already drunk. And so it was one of those deals. And then the other part was that I had made the varsity team as a freshman, but I was second string. And so the guy that was supposed to be in there in front of me, he was too hammered from the night before to play. So these guys come up to me and go, "Hey, Cook, you want to play with the varsity first team today?" I'm like, "Yes." And that's why I was in there.
Oh,
So I was
man.
also with people I was unfamiliar with and hadn't really practiced much with. And I think that contributed in some ways to the injury because we just didn't have that chemistry. And they let go of me in the scrum when it started collapsing. And I went down. I think the whole left side of the scrum went down, but I went down a very precarious way. And that's how I was injured.
And from there, I mean, they took you to the ER, but when did you get the news like, hey, you're never going to walk again?
Oh, yeah. That, everyone gets that
Yeah.
initial doctor or whoever comes in and goes,
Son, you're never
we
going
have to talk. We have to talk. And so I was wearing my brand new rugby jersey back then, 1980, that I had paid $50 for.
Damn, that's a lot of money back then.
That was a big deal. And so they have transported me to the medical center in Sacramento. And and I also had a cold at the time, and my left lung collapsed almost immediately, and I got pneumonia within 3 days. Geez, that would not have been good now for sure. But anyway, the doctor came out, the attending physician at emergency comes out, and he takes his scissors out, and I'm totally awake, and I'm on my back, just laying there with, the collar on, and he starts to cut my jersey, and I went, hey, I paid $50 for that, and he just stared at me, and he said, "Son, we're talking about whether you'll ever walk again." And I went, "Okay, cut it."
Oh, man.
That was my my come to Jesus wake up call. Like,
That's $156.96.
Very nice.
That's like a pro NBA jersey, I think.
Dude, it was a great jersey. It just didn't last long.
Oh, man. So what obviously you held off on going to school for a while, but how long till, I don't know, you'd say you got things rolling again?
Well, okay, so first of all, for all you kids out there, they didn't have lightweight wheelchairs then. This is 1980. I think in 1982 or 3 came out the Quadra chair and the first Quickie 1. Anyway, my chair they sent me home with. Well, first of all, I was in rehab for 4.5 months. I had a couple near-death experiences, like most of us do. I told you about the pneumonia. Um, I went from 180 down to 122 in 3 weeks, and they thought I was checking out. And it turned out I had blood clots and collapsed left lung and pneumonia, the whole bit. Anyway, I had great support from family and friends, and they were there every day telling me, you know, you're not only going to live, you're going to do well. Just, shut the fuck up and let's go. And I was like, okay, all right, all right. And this is one of the reasons, well, I'm here now with my mom, is because she traveled from north of San Francisco to San Jose, an hour and a half each way, every day for 4.5 months to make sure that I was getting good care. And, the least I can do is help her out when she's aging and dealing with Alzheimer's. So anyway, the bottom line though is I came home in an Everest and Jennings everyday chair that weighed 55 pounds.
Ooh.
And I could barely push it. I also came home with a Everest and Jennings power chair, and it was, that's what I had to do. And so I actually came back after moving out and going to college, came back to live with my parents in April. Wow, holy moly. Today's April 15th, isn't it?
It sure is.
I came back to live with my parents on April 15th, 1981.
Okay,
So that's
39?
39 years ago today. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to be 40. I'll be 40 in my second life in November this year.
Dang.
So, I know, right?
That's
20
like,
years.
because you got hurt when you were 18, so that's like, or you've already twice folded it.
and I turned 59 a week later, November 29th. It was a big deal. I had my birthday, a week after, and they all thought I was dying, and it was crazy. But anyway, I got a lightweight chair about 4 years later. I think I went back to school in September of '81 and did my degree.
You went back to UC Davis, or?
Yeah, I went back to Davis. I went back to my school. I'd only really been there one quarter. So I had 3 classes. 2 of them gave me an incomplete. 1 of them gave me a grade.
So at this point, were you independent enough to go back and actually live on campus,
Oh no!
or?
Oh no! No, not at all. I had about let's see, probably about 10 hours a day of caregiving service, and I didn't. Tim, I found out about rugby 8 years later in '88, and it changed my whole independence thing. I was already, able to dress myself a little bit, go to the bathroom, sort of. I needed help for everything still.
Mm-hmm.
When I found out about rugby, I saw people that were doing stuff, and I was like, damn, I can do that. Maybe I can do that. And I'm going to credit Nils Jorgensen, lifelong friend, wheelchair rugby player, fellow Hall of Famer. He and I were housemates, and he goes, you can do all this stuff. And if you want, I'll show you a few things. Now, he's a class 2. He's got full triceps, etc. But his encouragement and what I was seeing at rugby tournaments, traveling with an attendant, by the way, or phoning ahead and saying, hey, is there somebody on your end that can help me?
Yeah.
They need a lot of help, but I needed some stuff. And, just kind of figured it out. Figured it out after about 8 years, I'd say. No, longer. Maybe 10 to 11 years, I became fully independent.